Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. China again created an issue on the north border of India, and India responded very successfully. But then, is that the end of the trouble in that part of the world? There is a long standing issue plaguing India and Bangladesh, and Chinese, in a very insidious manner, are angling in the troubled water. They are trying to fish over there. India and Bangladesh have an issue with the Teesta River, which flows in Assam and northeast and goes to Bangladesh. And the deal has been discussed for decades without a solution. And now comes in China and is on the verge of giving $1 billion for comprehensive management and restoration project of the Teesta River. And where does that leave India with relation to Dhaka? India had absolutely excellent relationship with Dhaka. As a matter of fact, it helped Bangladesh come into existence. But for India, there would have been no Bangladesh. And there have been issues plaguing the countries, but the overall relationship has been very good. But then, with this Chinese twist, where does India stand? If Bangladesh becomes a part of the group that opposes India, then India has an enemy on the west, enemy on the north, enemy in the east. Even if Bangladesh remains neutral, that's not a healthy sign. If you recollect, in 1971, Pakistan wanted to send naval forces to the then East Pakistan of Bangladesh where the war was going on. And though Sri Lanka was not openly helping India, they stopped the Pakistan Navy from crossing their river, their waters, and Pakistan Navy couldn't reach in time. And this twist of $1 billion is putting a screw in the long standing dispute of water sharing in Teesta. More important is that this loan comes at a time when India is having problems with China on Ladakh. As a matter of fact, it was September 2011 when the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was going to visit Bangladesh to sign an agreement. And the agreement had already been decided and discussed between the secretaries at the bureaucratic level. And it was only the formal ceremonial activity that was to be done in September 2011. And then there was a lady in West Bengal, Mamta Banerjee, who is the premier, the chief minister. She objected to it. And imagine a provincial troublemaker objection, and the national deal was scuttled. 4 years passed. Narendra Modi came to power in 2014 and he visited Dhaka in June 15. And this time, Mamta Banerjee, the firebrand leader, who had put a screw and ensured that the deal doesn't take place, accompanied Modi. They met there, talked to the prime minister, and they said they'll reach a fair agreement on Teesta through cooperation. 5 years have passed since then, 2015 or 6 years. And till today, that agreement has not been signed. And India, as I said, has excellent relationship right from the beginning. There was an interim when the coup took place, Mujibur Rahman was murdered. But since 2008, Sheikh Hasina, the daughter of the founding father, has been at the helm and India has benefited greatly, especially with crackdown against anti-India outfits. Bangladesh is the biggest in South Asia, trade partner of India. Bilateral trade has increased over the last decade, and in 2018-19, that's the last year, the trade was 9.21 billion, out of which 1.04 billion are the imports and 8.17 billion are the exports from India to Bangladesh. So it's a huge trading partner. Bangladesh also has excellent relationship as far as tourism are concerned. Are you aware that the Bangla nationals come regularly to India for tourism, for work, for entertainment? And it's very common. The weekend trips, they come to India to watch the movies. As a matter of fact, I remember an anecdote that in Hindi movie Bahubali was released, and some people, Bangladesh nationals, they chartered flights to come to Calcutta to watch a movie. Just came to Calcutta in the chartered flight, watched the movie, had their coffee and tea, and went back. Bangladesh has been a key partner for the neighborhood policies. And as a matter of fact, India-Bangladesh relationship are a success story proverbial. Even when that National Register of Citizens and Citizen Amendment Act was passed, there was some heartburning. Bangladesh ministers cancelled the visits to India, but the Prime Minister very clearly said that they are internal matter, though they were not necessary. So they had personal reservations, but officially there was no change. Early March, the Foreign Secretary flew to Bangladesh. He again went to sea, and they have very successful relationship. But compared to that, look at the relationship between China and Bangladesh. While India-Bangladesh trade is $9 billion, China is the biggest trading partner of Bangladesh and the foremost source of imports. Their trade last year was double than that of trade with India. Indian was 9 billion, Chinese Bangladesh trade was 18 billion, and the import from the China was a lion's share. It's heavily in favor of China. Imagine, but then they have done it. China has declared 0% duty on 97% imports from Bangladesh. And naturally, Bangladesh products go there. This duty free, quota free program has been initiated by China as a diplomatic move. They call it for the least developed countries. Hell, the reality is that trade is a conduit to political arm twisting. India has also provided developmental assistance worth $10 billion to Bangladesh. India gives every year $30 billion aid to the foreign countries. Out of those 30 billion, one third, that's $10 billion, goes to Bangladesh. But Bangladesh has strong defense ties with China. And China is the biggest arms supplier to Bangladesh, not India. As a matter of fact, the officers of the Pakistan army who joined Bangladesh have always preferred Chinese arms. And then they import tanks, missile launchers, fighter aircraft, and recently they have purchased two Ming class submarines. So, in the wake of this standoff with India and Ladakh, India has to see that its antenna are quivering with vibration. They are more sensitive to the Chinese defense inroads into Bangladesh. And that is a matter of concern. I fully agree that Sheikh Hasina supported Modi's call for regional emergency funding for fighting COVID 19. It has also said that it will provide India with facilities to conduct trials for the vaccine. The two countries are also cooperating in railways, and India has given 10 locomotives to Bangladesh. The first trial run for the transshipment of Indian cars go to Bangladesh to northeast states, and the ports use the Chittagong and Mongla. As a matter of fact, when the Foreign Secretary visited Bangladesh this week, the discussion was on security issues and matters of mutual interest. But then there are issues India has to take care if it wants to stop the inroads by China. A lot of Bangladeshis are killed by the Indian forces and the Indian people at the border. As a matter of fact, BSF authorities should be well advised. They are having a DG level meeting next month, but action has to be taken that the people are not killed. That unnecessarily sends wrong signals. As a matter of fact, greater attention is to be given to the development of the projects in Bangladesh under the Indian line of credit. Then, a lot of Tablighi Jamaat people were arrested in India. Tablighi were the people who were meeting in India. And then government says and the press says that they are responsible for spread of coronavirus. 25 Bangladeshi fishermen are in custody in Assam. So they should be returned back. Then Bangladesh wants urgent reopening of the visa issuing in Dhaka, which has been held up, and Bangladeshis cannot come. India has to also reopen travel in Binapol Petrapol port, which was halted by Mamata Banerjee. I don't know why this lady always creates problem at the national level. And Bangladesh step in assuring Shringla, the foreign secretary, should be followed up. Now, what's the way ahead? It is urgent that the Teesta project is undertaken. But the difficulty is it cannot be because of political reasons. There are elections next year, and India cannot afford, rather the federal government, to lose the election if it gives more water to Bangladesh. Same issue between Punjab and Haryana. But then Delhi can do is to address other issues are of concern. The latent anti-India sentiment in Bangladesh, which received an impetus with CAA, threatens to damage Dhaka-New Delhi ties. But I'm more concerned that these strained ties might make and facilitate China into making Bangladesh a country under its political tutelage. And that would be a disaster for India. India has got to ensure, and it must take proactive steps to see that people from Bangladesh do not feel being let down. It is the same people who had welcomed Indian Army in 1971, if you remember, and they welcomed them with open arms, with joy and happiness. Why should that feeling of happiness become rancid? Even if the financial loss is there, India must step in its efforts to placate Bangladesh, ensure the continuance of the friendly relations, and try to stop this huge impact that is being sought to be created by China. And that can be done. It's not difficult. It needs a diplomatic skill which India has. More soft skills are required. And then Bangladesh can be a better friend than it is. It's a good friend, but it can be a better friend. And India needs that desperately if it is to change and oppose that fiery dragon. Otherwise, that dragon, like octopus, would surround India, and that would be a disaster. Bangladesh is on the verge. Luckily, Sri Lanka has come out, or is slowly coming out of the influence of China. And Bangladesh can also come out of the cloud, the Chinese cloud hovering on the horizon. But India needs to take proactive steps and needs to take them urgently if it wants to be a real superpower, because without the support of Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, India cannot be a world leader. Think about it. Thank you.